What is up, everybody? Welcome to the Bronx Pinstripe Show. Scott, let me tell you a little bit about my weekend, all right? So Harrison was dealing with a bit of a stomach situation, which he so graciously
Did he
passed
throw
on
up on
to
you
me as well.
Did he throw up on you?
No throw up, but the other end.
On you?
So, yeah, a little bit got on me, but like it wasn't. That was just from the cleanup. But it didn't stop because he's still a toddler and gets cabin fever if you stay inside. I'm not going to keep him inside. So I'm still doing activities with him, right? Taking him to the park, took him to a swimming lesson, went to the pool for
Got to get them to swim early. That's huge.
Mm-hmm.
Helps the...
4 times. He's doing great, by the way, in the pool. 4 times.
Yeah.
He had massive craps outside of my home. And they're messy because he's got a little bit of a stomach situation going. One of them, thankfully, was not in the pool, dangerously close to being in the pool.
I can't believe you're talking about this right now. So Kemp had a birthday party on Saturday. He's turning 6 on Friday, right? So we had a little birthday party with his friends this past weekend. We did it at a pool. And there was conversation about Code Brown. We're like, what?
Drain the pool.
Yeah, and this had happened with one of the other dads that we were talking, and it had happened. I was talking about the fact that growing up in Ridgewood, there's the town pool is Graydon Pool, which is like a man-made lake essentially, right? Sandy bottom, goose shit everywhere. It was like you never knew if you could go into the bathroom in that place. No one had any idea.
Is it goose? We don't know.
No one had any idea. So it was like nothing fazed me at that point. But a buddy of mine has 2 kids, one that's Kemp's age, another one that's younger. And the younger kid is one of my favorite kids. That's not my own child. I love this kid so much. He's the man. And this thing keeps moving on me. He took a shit at the party, going up towards like the office of the pool area, just right there outside it. Just took a shit.
Pulled his pants down.
Yeah, it he wiggled it out, and there's a turd sitting right there on the end. I'm like, well, thankfully it didn't go in the pool.
Was it solid?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
A solid turd is child's play.
Yeah.
Well, okay, so you've got poop situation. I had a lot of poop situations on my end. Combine all of those poop situations. That wasn't the biggest steaming pile of crap of the weekend because that belongs to Luis Severino for his performance on Sunday night.
Yes.
Just an absolute turd dumpster fire. He called himself the worst pitcher in baseball after the game, and I think that's fairly accurate for how he has pitched pretty much since coming back from injury, aside from the first 1 or 2 starts that looked all right.
Yeah, and can we talk about the accountability things? We've been talking about that a lot, and when you need it, and how much it matters to people. And in his case, calling himself the worst pitcher in baseball, while very accurate, also accountable. Some would say that's accountable. But you know what? There's also a limit. There's also a limit to the accountability. When you're saying it every single time, we're like, yeah, we know, and I'm glad you know. If you don't know, you're looking at something very different. But how about we fix it? How about at this point, now that it's been long enough, that we fix it and not just continue to say, yeah, I suck, I'm a bad pitcher. Like, okay, yes, great. We heard that. We all know. Everybody knows now. You're accountable. We got it. Now just fix the shit and pitch better, because we know that you have the ability to pitch much, much better than this at a higher level, and it's not happening. So figure out why and fix it.
What is going on with your camera? It's just got a mind of its own. It's moving. If you guys are watching on YouTube, you can see Scott's camera is just going to the left.
I think I might have fixed it just now.
Back and to the left.
I'm trying
every
to,
time you speak,
as I'm talking,
every time you move.
This is me doing double duty here. As I'm talking, I'm pulling up the settings for the camera to try to freeze the damn thing so it's not moving.
All right. Well, yes. Luis Severino's ERA is up to 7.5, which I think does qualify you for maybe being the worst pitcher in baseball. And you're absolutely right. At a certain point, whether it's Severino, whether it's Rizzo, Stanton, the offense, Boone, Carlos Rodon, you take accountability, and that is a good thing. But if nothing ever changes, then fine. Then you just suck. And what are we doing here? So I guess the accountability is good, but I don't see signs of Severino getting better. And he's not the number one problem on this team, right? The offense struck out 18 times on Sunday night, and then with Judge back in the lineup, looked great on Saturday, obviously, but Friday, no runs against
He hit the
I
ball
don't
hard.
want
He hit the ball hard a couple times too. Even that first
no
at bat.
no Judge comes back and is immediately back in peak
Yeah.
Judge form. I mean,
Right.
he's just a freak. He just the talent discrepancy between Aaron Judge and the rest of the people on this roster is alarming. If he can just be dropped back into a lineup after taking sim games against Jonathan Loaizaga and just boom, be ready, pitch recognition, walking, hitting line drives, hitting home runs. I mean, it's not even comparable. The level as he is on the rest of the lineup.
You know what's interesting is that he brought up a really good point, actually, one that I hadn't thought of, in a long time, or if ever. I don't remember thinking about this, but he was specifically, Meredith asked him about his rehab and asked him if he was ready and if he would have been more ready to, if he had gone on a rehab assignment. And he talked about how he went to Tampa and essentially got all the things that he needed to. They were able to simulate all of the things that you would get in a rehab game. And he's like, sometimes you go to rehab in Scranton or Somerset or wherever, and you might be standing in the outfield, not get a ball for an entire day. Or if you're at the plate, you may not get a pitch to hit, and you're not actually getting the amount of at-bats or the amount of looks that you need to get ready for a major league game. So the fact that they're able to sim something like that and really give them the opportunity to get all the things that they need to get ready makes a lot more sense, doesn't it? It makes a hell of a lot more sense to control it.
For a position player,
for a pitcher, you could do it too, but it's a different ramp up. But for a position player, it makes sense.
For a pitcher, I think it makes more sense to go to Scranton and make a start against people trying to hit you.
It depends the situation, because if your arm is in a good spot and you're able to get your arm strength up and you're able to throw sim games, depends on the situation of the team. If you're a major league pitcher and you're good, I don't want you wasting those starts anywhere else besides the major leagues.
Yeah, but I think it totally makes sense for a position player, and especially Judge, that just needs to get the reps on certain things. But fine, he comes back and looks like Aaron Judge. Grayson Rodriguez, I don't want to call him a good pitcher yet. Like, obviously he's a top talent and he's got filthy stuff, but he has been awful this year. He was sent down to the minors a month and a half ago for having an ERA north of 6. He comes back, and in his 2 starts before that game, he gives up 6 runs in 10 innings, and the Yankees can only manage 5 base runners. 3 of the base runners were Aaron Judge. 2 other base runners not named Aaron Judge in that game. It's like, and you get shut out. So fine. Yeah. Like, they looked great on Saturday. Judge hits the home run, and you've got, hit and run. There's a hit and run. Higgy's getting a runner in from third. It's like, good things are happening. You see good things happening, but they're just surrounded by so many bad things,
so much
inconsistency. You get one game that the team clicks, but it's 1 out of 5, maybe. And the other 4 games after that look terrible. And so
I will say the Friday game watching the Orioles defense was pretty ridiculous. Actually, they robbed probably 2 to 3 runs from the Yankees in that game. They did. They absolutely did.
You're talking about the ball on Rizzo in the 8th inning, right?
That was the Frazier. There was a Frazier play that was ridiculous. There was a play at third base. There were plays in the outfield. There were plays all over the diamond that were.
Well, you know what? That's what good teams do. Good teams make good plays.
No, they're a tight team. They play good defense. Volpe hit the ball hard a number of times. It was just at people. There were some good, like, if I'm Aaron Boone and I'm saying on that day, yes, there were balls hit, but the better team won because guess what? They played defense better than you too. And
yeah, exactly. That's part of the game.
It is part of the game.
A guy makes a diving catch in the outfield. That's a nice play, but it's not like
it's a ridiculous play. He saved multiple runs. Santander that play, and then he hits the home run to win the game.
Yeah.
Like their defense was on point.
The Orioles got lucky, like on Friday.
No, I'm not saying they got lucky. I'm saying they're better. They played very well. Their defense is good too. I didn't know their defense was as good as it was. From what I'm playing, you have a lot of young guys out there. Their defense is tight.
Well, you know what? So I had the guys pull the numbers on 1-run games against top teams in the league, and some interesting things. So the Yankees, with that 1-run loss on Friday, fall to 12-17 in 1-run games. We've talked about this a bunch, how they just can't win 1-run games. It's a .414 winning percentage. Baltimore, on the other hand, is 20-10 in 1-run games, 667 win percentage. Defense, elite bullpen, clutch hitting is how you win 1-run games. Yeah. Well, then if you look at Texas, who's had one of the best seasons in the league so far, and is just adding guys, elite talent at the deadline, they're 7-14 in 1-run games. So I'm not saying 1-run games is the end all be all to like the measure of a good team. But if we're just looking at the Yankees compared to Baltimore in that situation, the Yankees defense does not come up clutch. The Yankees base running is not clutch. The Yankees hitting is not clutch. The Yankees pitching is not clutch. Everything is the opposite of what Baltimore showed you on Friday night and has showed you this season with a 20-10 record in 1-run games.
And again, that number used to be flipped with the Yankees for such a long time because of the strength of the back of the bullpen, and they were able to lock things down. Granted, now you're seeing, not as strong as the back end of the bullpen. Like the bullpen's been good, but you don't have Batista in the back just sitting there waiting to shut things down, like we did with with Chapman and with name the closer that basically played after Mariano. It was a done deal. The Yankees don't have that. Therefore, they have to be able to swing the bat a little bit better to actually get these close games. And they're not doing it. So you see Baltimore has, they're hitting the ball well. They're doing the little things, and they have, some stability in the back of their bullpen. I'm not saying their bullpen's great because it's not, but the back of their bullpen is pretty damn good.
Yeah. Yeah. Just to round out those numbers, Tampa is 15-19. Toronto 17-12, Boston 14-17, and Houston 14-13. So it's not like every team that the Yankees are chasing is so much better than them in 1-run games. A couple of the teams are, but like Houston's bad, and Boston is basically 500. Or excuse me, Boston is the same as the Yankees pretty much. Houston is basically 500, but it's an eyesore when you see 20-10, a .667 win percentage in those games is it just. That sets up Baltimore for success in the playoffs too, if they're going to be playing in those types of games. So,
and I'm curious to see who they keep going if they get another big bullpen arm, if they get a starting pitcher.
They need a starting pitcher.
Those are the areas that they're most likely looking at. And yeah, like Snell makes a lot of sense. They have minor league depth to do what they want. They have riches in the minor leagues right now. I mean, shit. We were talking about him before, but this kid, Jackson Holiday, Matt Holliday's kid in Double-A, lighting it up at 19 years old. Like, he's moving so fast to the organization. Don't be shocked if that kid's up here at some point, especially as rosters expand. It would not surprise me if they get some electricity off the bench from him, or if he starts playing, I don't know what positions he's been playing besides short, but they have it in spades down there.
Yeah, I did hear Buster Olney on the thing last night talking about Verlander is a great fit for Baltimore. And he said, I have not heard anything. This is just me, speculating. I don't know. Buster doesn't usually speculate, though. Usually, maybe he's just not revealing.
It's his job
that
to speculate now. I think he has been about the Yankees in some cases, too.
I don't know. I always
you ain't speculating. You ain't on social media.
I just took him as a guy that even if he's speculating, maybe he's heard something like, oh, the Orioles would love to add Verlander or something like that. Like, I don't think it's just completely out of his own brain is what I'm saying.
Well, it makes a lot of sense because when you look at rumors and back them up, you have to look at, the viability of a particular trade, and the Orioles have all the pieces to make a deal like that with no issue. They really do.
And the Mets are paying, what are they paying? Half of Scherzer's contract?
$22 million, I think, went over there.
Yeah. I think so.
Yeah.
So they're going to pay half.
And he opted in. But he had to opt in for that second year.
Yeah.
That the Rangers will pay, right? And then I don't know. Yeah. So we'll see. We'll see if they get rid of Verlander, because Verlander's a 2-year deal, so he's got one more season.
Wasn't he two with an option? He basically signed the same deal that Scherzer signed just last year.
Yeah, but that's a tough one for the Mets and Cohen, I think, because that's essentially saying we're not serious about next year either, which doesn't make sense for what they've been doing. So I'd be surprised if they got rid of him, honestly, unless there was a king's ransom.
Yeah. And Cole was great on Friday. It's just with Judge coming back to the lineup and Cole having a great start, that would have been a really, really good win to start.
You got to win that game. You have to win that game. And I know Rodriguez, like you said, has been struggling, but like he does have, and I don't know if these guys are all just, if it's just because we're watching a team that's bad at the plate. But these pitchers do look good. I mean, the kid was dotting 100 miles per hour deep into the game. He looked like he had everything you need. It's a matter of... I can
see why he can dominate a lineup, but he has not dominated a lineup all season.
No, you're right. He hasn't.
So, yeah, you're like... And the Yankees commented after the game. I heard Boone talking about his filthy stuff, and then Cole in his post-game was talking about Rodriguez's filthy stuff. It's like, yes, filthy stuff does not make a good pitcher. he has not been a good pitcher this year. And the Yankees made him look like a good pitcher. So was that Grayson Rodriguez finally figuring it out? Maybe. If he goes on a run and starts pitching like a number one pitcher, okay, fine. The Yankees just happened to be on the schedule when he figured it out. But he hasn't done it all season. And it's just a coincidence that it's the Yankees lineup, which seems to be a coincidence.
The woeful lineup, yeah.
It's like there's a lot of coincidences this year that the Yankees lineup makes a lot of pitchers look really good.
Yeah. No, it's 1,000% a good chunk of that on the Yankees, but he did look good. he looked like that a guy that's going to be there for a very long time. And
you know what the true test would be? If we could just have like a like somehow, not a sim game because that's not real enough. Just like, can we test Luis Severino pitching against this Yankees lineup to see what happens?
That's not a bad idea.
What happens? I would love to see.
Well, if it's anything that's trending in the same direction as everywhere else, they're going to feast off of a four-seam fastball. So if they can hit a four-seam fastball, then they'll get to Severino. But we don't know if they can. So that's one thing that would be a fun little experiment that will never happen.
Cole did have an exchange with Rortvet during the game that was caught on camera when he couldn't agree on pitch calling, and then he said yes, no, whatever the fuck you want. And just sort of had that sort of Garrett Cole attitude. And then after the game, he didn't really speak to it. Just praised Rortvet for his game calling and pitch selection and stuff like that. I think that's probably just heat of the moment.
It could have also been technology
agitation.
Frustration with the pitch comm. Like you don't know what's happening there either. And yeah, but it's a new battery working together. So there's going to be some things to work out. But damn, honestly, I thought that was one of Cole's best performances all season long. I thought he was really, really good and in control that entire time. So,
and I was worried after the 2+ hour rain delay because that's it. You know how Garrett Cole isn't like that.
Yeah. Well, they called it beforehand, right? So he didn't have to warm up. Cohn made an interesting point actually for that I'm going to start looking at, and for all the degenerates listening on the gambling side, was Cohn was like, yeah, that for long rain delays like that to start a game, the starting pitcher, I believe, has the biggest advantage because they don't have to get ready. They get ready the same way as they would before the game. But if the rain delay is announced early, then they don't have to start getting ready. Whereas position players, they're sitting, they have to do like a whole thing, get batting practice, and they're coming out cold after that. Whereas the pitcher is going to the same routine. So,
I bet there's some
might be some good prop bets. Might be some good prop bets in those first 3-4 innings.
Well, I bet there's some gambling websites that could tell you if the unders hit more often when there's long rain delays.
Oh yeah, every stat is available. Yeah, every stat.
So, I mean, the only thing that would, because a lot of guys have very regimented pregame routines outside of just warming up their body, like with a pregame meal or something like that. Like if you eat your pregame meal at 5:00 for a 7:00 start, then you don't start until 9:30. That could also affect you.
It could.
Yeah,
it could. But you got to deal with it. If Garrett Cole's yelling at the weather, then the sky was pretty gnarly when from those pictures that were taken.
And it's the Saturday's game. Logan and I were talking about this before you jumped on. You can see probably in Brian Cashman and Aaron Boone and the front office's mind, it's like they watch a product like Saturday night and they're like, the lineup worked. Guys hit. Aaron Judge was back and he had a positive impact on the rest of the lineup, and the offense scored runs. They are probably questioning why is that not happening on a more consistent basis. I'm not saying that's an excuse for not making moves or not changing things, but that is the inherent frustrating thing about this team is they should be better and they're just not. I've kind of almost given up hope that they're going to be consistent because it's been too long of inconsistency.
Yeah.
But you see something like Saturday night, or you see something like last week against Kansas City when Rizzo had a 4-hit day. I know you waved your arm like it's Kansas City, but fine. They weren't hitting anybody. But they didn't hit anybody. They didn't hit anybody. And then Rizzo finally gets 4 hits. And then there's interesting numbers you dropped in on Rizzo. Other than that 4-hit game.
2 for 17, I think.
That's the only game he's ever got. He got hits.
That's what I'm saying. You erased that Royals game from Rizzo's, game log, and
Chris Kirshner dropped on Twitter since May 21st. Rizzo has been the worst qualified hitter in all of Major League Baseball with a 53 WRC plus.
He's got to be. There's an injury there. He's not that guy. That's what I'm saying here. So like,
how have they let this go on? If there truly was an injury, because this is what you always say to me with like the DJ LeMahieu thing, right? Because on the surface, I would agree with you. Neck got banged up in that Tatis play, then something happened and something doesn't feel right. if there's truly an injury, it's not like they haven't had other people to play first base over the past 2 months. If he's feeling not any percent less than 100, and he's telling them, put him on the IL for 10 days, 15 days, just for like a mental break. Because this guy can't go 0 for 5 with 5 strikeouts every single night. You can't just keep putting that in the lineup if he's truly not healthy.
If you're a serious contender for what the Yankees are trying to do as well, look what the Angels just did. The Angels just got Grichuk and CJ Cron. These are two guys that could help the Yankees right now. And CJ Cron's a first baseman, and you're saying, oh, we don't need a first baseman. We have Anthony Rizzo. Well, Anthony Rizzo has been, as you just said, Kirshner tweeted this out yesterday, and I screenshotted it in our chat, the worst qualified hitter since May 21st. That's a very long period of time. It's 2 months plus of tape and of gameplay. So you're going a month in, which is, beginning of the trade window, right? Like end of June, early July. You got a guy like CJ Cron. Rockies aren't doing anything. Probably don't have to pay that much to get him. Why not look at that for depth, at least to get, some rest, like you're saying, to solidify that position. You know that he can hit offensive wise. That's a good thing. Grichuk is also, he's not a star, but he's a guy that could go into left field and play every single day and probably improve this team. No, not probably. He would improve this team. And when you see guys like that who are like mid guys that don't take a lot to get them, but they actually would improve the roster and improve the depth, especially knowing that DJ, can play other positions. You don't need to get him in at first. Like he's the backup in every position. Eliminate one of them, get a backup first baseman or get a guy that you can platoon with. It just, the foresight on any of these moves are just not there. And they're just waiting.
They're just waiting for the guys to fix themselves and be better. And the problem with that is it's not happening. And the trade deadline is a little over than 24 hours away as we're recording this. So, and a lot of guys are going.
There's a lot less teams that are selling from when we did our
exactly. More teams are in the hunt that are not willing to sell. They're just going to wait it out and see if they can. And I guess that's what the Yankees are doing as well. I don't think you're saying this, that CJ Cron and Randall Grichuk is going to suddenly make the Yankees a serious playoff caliber team. But what it could do is it could bide you time for hopefully Rizzo to get healthy, DJ to start hitting better and being more consistent, Stanton to hit better, Judge, who's back now, but could have bided you some time for Judge to get back in the lineup where you're not getting swept by Anaheim and you're not losing 2 out of 3 to Colorado and things like that. You're just falling farther and farther behind. And the unfortunate thing is they're only 3.5 out of the wild card. They're in last place, but they're 3.5 out. So they're in the hunt and they're probably going to hover around that thing for the month of August. But like eventually time's going to run out.
There's 5 teams there though. The 3.5 is a different story when you see how many teams are in that mix, especially when you look at, the Angels being one of them who are completely reloading at this point. You got some of these other Texas or Houston are in a wild card right now, depending on who's going to take that division. Like there are teams, everybody in front of you in the AL East literally is ahead of you in the wild card. So
that's right.
There's a
3.5, but it's more than 3.5 because of the number of teams.
Yeah, and you start going down to season series and things like that too. It's going to come down to head to head at some point, and the Yankees just aren't playing well. And the Grichuk and the CJ Crons of the world, again, not major moves, not big shakeups, not unobtainable moves. You know damn well that Colorado is selling.
Cashman never had conversations with the Rockies.
Yeah, Ilya put that in the chat. Yeah. Cashman apparently didn't have conversations, which is.
I'm not, whatever, it's fine. But like, if he's having conversations for other players similar to that, fine. I don't care. Maybe he didn't like those pieces, but
which means this is like there are, I don't even know what I'm about to say. There are people that take the opposite of certain public figures and say like, okay, now it's going to happen. If Brian Cashman said it's not a good fit, then maybe they should have had a conversation because it might be a good fit.
No, that's the George Costanza opposite day. When he does everything opposite, it gets him the job. It gets him the girlfriend, gets him the job for the Yankees. So, what was I going to say wasn't there a report semi-recently that Rizzo's neck was lingering or something like that? Did I make that up?
I
or
don't
was
need
that
to see
just
a report
speculated?
to know that something's not right with him. I don't need to see any report to know that
Well,
something's not
because
right with him.
as Logan just dropped in the chat, like a couple days before Trevino's on the IL for the rest of the season, needs surgery, Boone's talking about him being perfectly healthy. And so what are we to believe, right? They're saying Rizzo's perfectly healthy. Obviously the results are saying otherwise.
Yeah. It's something that is, something that doesn't make sense with his baseball talent is happening. I don't know what it is, whether it's an injury, something off the field. I don't know.
And they
there's
keep
something
sticking
going
him
on
in the middle of the lineup
right.
too. Like he's still hitting third, fourth. Like
Boone doesn't play with the lineup. He moves like one or two guys, but the majority of the major guys shift. And I mean, you could look at this too. If you're trying to make more of an impact and give guys better at bats, and maybe this is counterintuitive, but Judge is at the number 2 spot. You want to give him as many at bats as possible. Get that totally. But if you move him to the number 3 spot, you're at least protecting 2 more players that you believe can hopefully get on base for Judge to do damage. There's just when you're putting him that high on the lineup too, you're losing protection for some of these other guys, and they just don't have anybody else to help protect them either. They're going to go after it. This is like a very small thing.
But that Judge hits number 2, right? Like he's hit number 2 95% of the games he's played in the last 5 years. So
let's never change anything and look at anything just because that is the way it is.
Yeah, let's continue to hit Anthony Rizzo in the 3rd or 4th spot, despite the fact he's been the worst hitter in baseball for 2 months. Let's put ancient Brett Gardner in the number 3 spot, just because we have to break up Judge and Stanton.
For Brett Gardner to be in the leadoff spot right now. I would love it. He would work the count.
But what I'm saying is Boone makes these lineup decisions just in the face of what's actually happening in front of him. That is not taking into consideration whether it's Boone, nerds. I don't want to have that conversation. The Yankees lineup decisions are made independent of what's happening on the field.
Yeah. So,
and with Judge, he comes back, he plays Friday, he plays Saturday in the field, and he's off on Sunday. I'm not surprised he was off on Sunday. They're going to ease him back into things. I fully expect him to play about 2 out of 3 games for the foreseeable future.
I get it. I get it to a point where you're not going to play him. There's a 13 game stretch here that there's no off days. You have a big, there's a lot of good teams that you're about to play. So at some point he's going to have to rest. But when you come off of that Saturday game and you get the win and you're going in for to steal the series in Baltimore, and you're not putting. For me, it's like it's tone deaf. And I understand that you're going to have to sit him. So then you're going to have to sit him later and you're going to have to figure that out. But that game, you got to at least DH him. You got to at least DH him.
Coming off Sunday, of that game.
Sunday, yes. You have to at least DH him. I'm sorry.
Because then you fall behind 7-0, then just take him out.
Right? Yeah, that's fine. Like it is what it is because of what Severino did. But going into that game, so like it's an opportunity for them to be like, well, it didn't matter anyway, which is whatever. It's a mulligan for the decision.
Why did he play right field?
Either way, he's got a DH.
Why did he play right field?
Because they wanted to work him into the field. Well, I don't have any problem with that.
Obviously, I don't have a problem with it. But could he DH every day, or does he have you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I don't know.
It's like if he plays right field, does that mean the next day he has to be out of the lineup?
I don't know. I don't know what their load management. My feelings about this, what their deal is. I say, if he's healthy enough to come back and he says he's good to go, then play him. And if you have to DH him to give him some rest, cool. He's going to be available for a pinch hit opportunity. Like what? Okay, so yeah, I understand that he's not going to be getting the same exact preparation, but he's going to be on the bench. He's going to be cold. He's going to have to go.
Boone said last night.
He's going to have to go into the tunnel. It's not exactly the same, but it's not nothing either. It's not nothing. It's relatively significant. And knowing a guy like Aaron Judge, who takes a lot of pride in his preparation, he's going to be down in the tunnel, getting a ton of swings beforehand to make sure he's ready. He's not just going to walk out there. So really, what are we doing?
I just don't trust the Yankees to properly manage Judge's load management for the rest of the season to prevent further injury or mean that he doesn't have to rehab the toe in the offseason or whatever. So just play him regular, because no matter what they do, he's probably going to need to address the toe in some way in the offseason.
Yes. It's not going to get hurt more, right? We know that. So then if he says he's good to play, if Judge says, how about we just give it to Judge? If you need an off day, tell us. If you need to rest that thing, tell us.
Who do you trust more? The Yankees medical staff and Aaron Boone or Aaron Judge?
Well, Aaron Judge 100%, because they've already talked about that they have no idea anything about this injury and that it's all about the feel. So they've already come out and said that publicly. This one's a little different. Don't really have much of a precedent for this one. So therefore, doctors are like, I'm not sure. I don't know. Judge, how do you feel? And they're going off of that. They're going off of what they see on an MRI. It's not like it's it's healing is what they said. It's healing, whether I'm playing or not. It's healing.
Honestly, I think the rest of the lineup, after what they saw Judge come back cold and just drop back into the lineup and be elite, they probably should have been embarrassed about how bad they are. The
embarrassment should have happened a long time ago, not just because Judge is coming back and the MVP and the guy that
and
just
it's
broke
like
Roger Maris's
one guy does not make an entire lineup. I understand
he
can elevate everyone's the attitude or the confidence and stuff like that, but even if Judge is back, you're still going to see this lineup go through woeful struggles with the rest of the team, how they're performing. Logan, you were going to jump in on something?
Yeah, no, I was just going to chime in on the lineup and the Rizzo continuing to bat 34th. He's on record saying that he's got to keep the lefties in there, spacing them out. I mean, he's been doing that since he got here. It doesn't matter if your name is Anthony Rizzo, Brett Gardner, Willie Calhoun. You're batting.
Look at Anthony Rizzo's splits, though. That doesn't even make sense for what his splits are, because he's better against left-handed pitching than he is right-handed pitching.
It doesn't matter what his splits are. It just matters that he's a lefty. But,
I know, that's the point.
What it comes down to is
there's no basis of actual reasoning and why the righty-lefty thing is when you see a lefty that's better.
The asinine thing about Logan, this is not, we're not yelling at you, right?
No, I'm yelling at
the asinine thing about this is that was they acquired all these right-handed power hitters. And we're like, no, that's fine. We're just getting the best talent. And just so happens that it's Luke Voigt and Gary Sanchez and Giancarlo Stanton and Aaron Judge. But we need Brett Gardner to hit third.
Well,
how about get a good left-handed hitter to hit third instead of getting a bunch of right-handed hitters? And then they finally addressed it at the 21 trade deadline with Rizzo and Gallo. They finally admitted, oh, you know what? Maybe we need some left-handed hitting in this lineup.
Right. Well, there was always a disconnect there because they publicly said that, but then they continued to bat Brett Gardner third, and they continued to bat Aaron Hicks third because it didn't matter. It was the front office. These are the guys that Boone has.
I know.
If Boone wants to put the lefties there, this is the personnel that he has. You can't even blame him. He's just going to do what
I can blame him because the guy that he's putting in there, the one you're talking about, again, to the point, has better splits against left-handed pitching. It doesn't make any sense. The whole point of a regular
you have to throw out Rizzo's splits right now. He's not hitting anybody. I don't care. I don't care what his splits are against anyone. He couldn't hit me right now.
I'm saying for the season, it makes no sense.
Yeah, but when he was right to put him in between Judge and Stanton,
makes complete sense.
Fine. But again, the logic behind him and making adjustments is just not there. That's it. Like at the end of the day, there's no logical path to saying that this man made a knowledgeable decision for baseball and is looking at what he has in front of him and doing something that he believes is the right thing to do in that given day. Like that doesn't exist. And that is what is absolutely infuriating when you're watching this team go out there time and time again and listening to him talk and talk and talk. Like at this point, like there's no doubt you got to go out and trade Glaber. There's interest. Let's talk about that. The Marlins want Glaber. They're like, hey, we got prospects. Brian Cashman saying, well, we need better prospects. I know you want to get rid of him because you don't like him.
Yes, sell high on him. Sell high on
that's fine.
Glaber
At this
Torres.
point,
absolutely sell high on Glaber Torres.
Trade Glaber, trade Bader, trade Herman, trade what you can out of the bullpen. And fire Boone, shake up the dugout, fire Boone, promote Shelley Duncan.
You know what the scary thought is? If they fire Aaron Boone, there's a 2% chance they make Sean Casey manager, and I don't think I can live in a world where Sean Casey goes from talking in his basement to manager. Because then how far away am I from being manager of the Yankees? Not that far. I just saw this quote that you guys dropped in, Aaron Boone talking last night. He said, outside of the strikeouts, I thought at-bats were building off last night. I thought we grinded out really well. We made it really tough on Kramer. We couldn't finish off. Outside of the strikeouts, which were 67% of the at-bats. outside of two-thirds of our at-bats last night, we really built off of that. What a goddamn idiot this guy is. Oh my God.
Yeah, it makes no sense. It really
that is just next level trolling from Aaron Boone. I can't help but laugh hysterically at that. That is unbelievable.
So at this point in the season, if they were looking at if what the Yankees were
Outside
doing,
of 2/3 of our at-bats,
if what the Yankees are doing and the Yankees brass were like, we're going to get through the weekend and see what's up. Okay, so what did you learn, Yankees front office? What did you learn? The same thing we all knew. The team is not very good. Besides Aaron Judge, that's what we learned. So trade assets, get as much as you can out of it, because actually the assets that you can trade won't really affect what happens on the field this year. Frankly, it won't. So you get some assets traded, you get rid of them, play some kids, fire your manager because it has to happen, shake it up, see what happens, and let the cards fall as they may. That's it. Because guess what? It's not going to be better if you stay pat. So you might as well shake it up and see what happens. It doesn't hurt. Get some more kids and change things just for the sake of change. That's it. That's the answer. Yeah, it's not an answer that's going to result in a positive result, probably, but it might light a fire. Who knows?
This organization has been extremely resistant to change. Change from
the
managerial structure, right? Like they'll change minor personnel, they'll change hitting coaches. Obviously, they'll change backup left fielder, shit like that,
and then they extend the manager.
Exactly,
and they extend the GM.
Oh boy. Well, if you want to go to one of these games this week against Tampa, I've got some good news for you. You can basically go for free. Tuesday and Wednesday's game start at $3 on Game Time because no one wants to go see this trash bag Yankees team right now. But if you do, you can get in the door for $3. You can find great seats on Game Time for under $50 too. Like the $3 tickets, probably not going to be sitting in an area you might want to sit, but $50 you can get primo tickets. Midweek game against Tampa, who's been struggling, but also Yankees have been terrible. Game Time is our preferred ticketing app because it is the easiest way to buy tickets to whatever you want to go to. Sporting events, concerts, comedy shows, theater. Maybe you want to just go to some comedy shows or just watch Aaron Boone's post game. It's the same thing. There's even event cancellation protection, so you can buy with confidence. I love using Game Time because I get images of my seats before I buy, so I know exactly what to expect. The buying process is also super fast. It's just 2 taps and you're done. Tickets go directly to your phone, so you don't have to go through your email to find them. Snag tickets today without stress using Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code BRONX for $20 off your first purchase. Once again, download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code BRONX for $20 off your first purchase. Game Time, last minute tickets, lowest price, guaranteed. What do you want to talk about?
So the Yankees going up against Tampa this week is, when you look at these, I don't even care what their offense is doing. I know they're damaged goods at this point, but when you see the pitching staff that's coming into town for Tampa, and what they've done all year, like Zach Eflin doesn't scare me at all. But the rest of you have McClanahan and Glasnow going up against. Glasnow's up against Herman, Eflin's against Rodon, and then McClanahan is up against Cole. Like,
it's been a while since they've played Tampa. Early May. I was just looking at this. They haven't played Tampa since May 11th through the 14th, where they split at home.
You got to believe that runs are at a premium, right? Like, as they have been. So all 3 of these guys need to be on. And obviously, I have faith in Cole putting up 6-7 innings, 1 to 2 run ball. I don't have faith in the Yankees scoring 2 runs, Yankees scoring 3 runs. And I don't think that when you look at this pitching staff against the Yankees, it's going to be slim, man. It's going to be slim. This could be whether they're reeling or not. Like, don't have to score that many runs if you're Tampa to win a game against this team. So, and this is going to be the trade deadline. So what do you think they should be doing at this point? I mean, do you think that they're going to go out and make a move? Do you think that when we look at what's out there, Bellinger off the market, do
you believe that though?
I mean, if they get something that is pretty good, then maybe not. I don't know, but they're in the hunt.
The asking price has been high on Bellinger, and I guess no one's willing to meet it. So the Cubs are taking him off. Again, the deadline is Tuesday at 6 p.m. I still kind of expect him to get traded, but the Cubs are in the playoff hunt as much as the Yankees are in the playoff hunt. Actually, probably in a better spot because they have fewer teams to jump over. Yeah,
they
have
can
to
win the
their-
division. They don't
they-
have to.
well,
they
they
have
have
one
to-
team to compete against. They're not
Well,
even
they're
going
two,
for the wild
two teams
card.
are ahead of them, but
Yeah.
it's just they have to get 2 teams and they would win the division. They're not going for the wild card like the Yankees are.
Right. It's actually more
Um,
manageable for them.
Wait, the Cubs are 3.5 out of the wild card. I thought they're 3.5 out of their division. They're also out of the wild card 3.5. Well, yes.
Either way, the wild card is
very
more
similar
competitive.
spot.
It's more competitive than they are for the division. They have a better opportunity, I think, at the division than they do a wild card.
I think that the Yankees are going to do basically nothing at the deadline. They might get like a bullpen piece. They might get a filler roster spot piece. I don't expect Gleyber to get traded. I don't expect any other pieces from the Yankees to get traded away, and I don't expect them to get anybody impactful. The reality is what Brian Cashman and everyone will say is we have the right people in the room to compete. DJ has to hit, Stanton has to hit, Rizzo has to hit, Severino has to pitch, Rodon has to pitch, etc. They're right. But that's not going to happen, right? Like all of those ifs are not going to happen. A couple of them might happen, but you're telling me all 5 of those ifs, 6 of those ifs have to happen, and then you can win a wild card spot to then have to go on the road to win multiple playoff series? It's not feasible.
I mean, at some point, if this thing keeps going down a path without them improving or being able to put up more runs, there's going to be the conversation also about, okay, at what point do we just shut Judge down and you know,
that's entirely going to depend on how he's feeling. Like,
yeah, but even still, like if they're 6 games out of the wild card in 2 weeks, which is not out of the question given what's on the
they
what's
won't
on the
shut
schedule.
him down.
What's on the schedule coming up?
They won't shut him down until they're mathematically eliminated.
I don't believe that. I think they'll do it before that.
If he's saying I'm not feeling good, then yeah. But if he's saying I'm feeling fine, they'll keep him in the lineup on a semi-regular basis.
If there's 6 games out of the wild card in 2 weeks, it's over.
I know it's over, but mathematically it wouldn't be over.
Yeah, well, this little stretch here could absolutely sink them. I mean,
what do you think they're going to do at the deadline?
Well, I don't know. I don't have a pulse on what they're. Do
you think they should trade away pieces? Because
yes, I do.
We're kind of saying, okay, so bullpen arms gone.
The reason I'm saying
gone.
this is because I actually don't think that what's available currently on the market that you're going to get anything, like you said, impactful that's going to make a difference. Basically, the team that has to play much better for them to do anything. If that happens and you can fit some complementary pieces in here to get it going, then maybe something. But again, like the current situation, the current roster has to play better. That has to happen, whether you go and get somebody or not.
Yes,
that said,
keep saying that. We keep saying that.
I don't know, but that said, the guys who are tradable, Gleyber, Bader, and Herman are probably the 3 biggest. And then
the Yankees
some
are asking
pieces.
too much for Gleyber.
But again, like you go out and you try to get a spark with some young guys and you trade those guys. Like I really don't think at the end of the day that's going to change what is happening as much. I really don't, because again, still, whether those guys are here or not, Rizzo, Judge, and LeMahieu have to hit. If those 3 guys are hitting,
don't put Judge in that.
No, Judge is going to hit. I'm not putting him in there as a blame.
Stanton,
he's part of it. Stanton
Rizzo,
too. Yeah, thank you.
LeMahieu are the 3 that need to hit.
Along with 4, Judge, including Judge, 4 guys that have to hit.
And if Gleyber is still on the roster, obviously he needs to continue to hit. So you have.
But again, whether Gleyber's there or not, those 4 guys have to hit. So that's why Gleyber, to me, you can just at this point just see what happens. Get some kids, try to shuffle things up, change it up, send a little bit of a message, but at the same time, you got to fire Boone too, man, because it's such a bad disappointment of a season. I feel like you have to fire Boone mid-season.
Boone's not getting fired mid-season,
which is crazy.
They literally just hired his best friend. Like he's there for the rest of the season. Maybe in the offs, if they miss the playoffs, maybe they will fire him. But even then, they'll say Judge was out for a lot of the season. Things weren't right. Oh, Rizzo's neck was really bothering him. Oh, DJ's toe was not 100%. Like Rodon didn't come back until July. There's so many built-in excuses for why this team is bad this year. That is why they won't fire and won't make any changes in the offseason, because making changes is more difficult. Looking in the mirror is more difficult than just putting your head down and trying the same thing again next year and crossing your fingers that it's going to be different.
Yeah, I know. I'm talking more out of my my want mouth, then I know what's going to happen, because I know what's going to happen. It's not going to be much. That's the history of this team, and that's
they're gonna
really
continue...
unfortunate. As a fan, that's really frustrating to see what happens when we can all see what's going on here, and the fact that they won't even try to make some changes and try to shake things up is extremely frustrating.
And they're going to continue to hover and play slightly better than 500 ball, which is going to keep them on the outskirts of the playoffs, because they're a couple games over 500 and their run differential is now +9. That's more or less a 500 team. It's a hair better than 500 is what
this
team
stretch
is.
coming up is might shake that one up. Might put that one on its head because of the quality of teams that they're playing.
Maybe. Or they're going to continue to win half their games and lose half their games, which is probably the worst case scenario, right? Like, you either want them to play well and finally maybe get some momentum, or just get stomped and be out of it. But instead, they'll go 500 in this stretch, continue to tread water, and continue to dangle that carrot that's just out of reach.
Well, at that point, it doesn't matter. They can't make any moves that'll change anything anyway. So don't matter.
Herman's also a guy that could have value.
Oh yeah, I have a tweet that's been sitting in drafts that for whatever reason I didn't send. It's Glaber, Bader, and Herman, and then the bullpen. Whatever you can live with getting rid of in the bullpen, get rid of it, and shuffle the deck. But you gotta change up other things like that. That's not enough to change the culture. I'm telling you, you fire Boone, promote Shelly Duncan from AAA. You got a lot of those kids coming up anyway. Give me some Shelly Duncan magic. Something. I don't even care what it is. I don't care what it is. Honestly, it just got to be something different. Just give me something different.
Aside from all the crap I had to clean up this weekend, Lucy's finally sleeping longer stretches. Like last night, she slept almost 8 straight hours. So like that's a full night of sleep.
It's nice. You wake up and you're like, what the hell happened? Is she okay?
The first time the baby does that, you wake up. Are they dead?
Yeah, it's bad. It's a really bad feeling, actually.
That's all I got.
Guys, got anything else? This is
no, the team is really good except for the 18 strikeouts. I've been on a really strict diet aside from all the ice cream and cookies and McDonald's and cheeseburgers and pizza. And
celery
pasta.
and McDonald's.
I saw somebody tweeted like, "Oh, the play was great except for what happened to Misty Lincoln," and it was like, it just got me. Like last night in bed, it was like, God, it's ridiculous. Like,
but that's just Boone 101. Is even in a game that essentially has no positives, which was Sunday night's game, fake that there was positive takeaways from it. It's like beyond.
If you said that on Friday, fine, because Friday was legitimate. Like there were things that I thought could have gone a different way, but not Sunday. Sunday was bad in so many different ways. And you know what's so crazy? After you go up 7-0, like the Orioles did, they're peppering the zone. They're giving you balls to hit. They are pitching to maximize their pitch count. They're in the zone. They have a 7-0 lead. They're not going to be cute.
And you still struck out 18 times. You still struck out 2/3 of your at bats.
That's bad.
When they're just basically throwing get me over fastballs. Yeah. So, you want to hit a solo home run? Okay.
And control issues. Like there were control issues that could not be taken advantage of. Yeah. So there are control issues. So you know what to look for. You know specifically what to look for. You're looking for fastballs over the plate when you have a guy that's struggling with his command, and can't hit it.
Do you think?
Meanwhile, Severino's fastball, there's 12 home runs off his 4-seam fastball going into the day, which is egregious given the small sample size of him throwing this year.
So do you think the Yankees are going to give him 3 years with an option or guaranteed 4 years in the offseason?
Yeah, it's a 4-year guarantee. They believe in the arm talent.
Mm-hmm. Awesome.
Yeah.
That's going to wrap it up for this episode. We will talk to you again after the Tampa series, which should be just a joy to watch.